Hey, hello. Nice to see everybody, all two of you that seem to be here so far. Um, yeah, so I'm not sure. It's a bit of a change, obviously, today from the Lauren Matthias saga, but I thought I would. Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I know there's a delay, and it's going to take me a little while to get used to that, but I thought I would have a look at this case because I don't know if it's matters to other people. But this one is going on in Canada, and it's just really heartbreaking. So probably most of you have heard of it. You are true crime fans after all. So this is the case of Jack and Lilly Sullivan, who went missing from Nova Scotia, from the extremely rural township of Lansdowne, in on May 2nd last year. And there has been basically nothing to indicate what has happened to them. It's not near me at all. It's literally the total opposite side of the country. So it's like San Francisco and versus, Miami Beach kind of thing. That's as far away as it is, possibly further even. And it's extremely rural. Like there is in the township or whatever, like from what I've looked at on Google Maps, it appears like there's not even a town there at all. There's no services or anything like that. It's just a basically so you're like your closest neighbors can't hear you scream, kind of rural. And so the biggest thing that's happened is that the stepfather, Daniel Martell, was arrested last week on unrelated charges. So he was arrested and charged with assault, sexual assault, and forceful confinement of an adult. Now, they're not naming the adult. My guess is that it's probably his ex-common law wife, Malaya. Sorry, I can't remember her full name, but Malaya, who, after her initial interview, when the kids went missing, packed up sticks and disappeared, and nobody has heard a single word from her since. This past week, a couple of her friends came out and were interviewed to talk about how she's doing. And apparently, she is taking things day by day and holding out hope that something will change. So, I suspect that a lot of people actually, I'm just going to read this really short article here because it's just a little bit of background in case people are not don't know the background. So, Daniel Martell, that's this dude here, the stepfather of two Nova Scotia children who disappeared nearly 9 months ago, has been charged with sexual assault, and forcible confinement. Nova Scotia RCMP, that's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and I will tell you right now, they do not always get their man. And they are often incompetent and corrupt. So, I'm not saying they are in this case, but just so you know, they are not the shining star of law enforcement as they are kind of depicted in Canadian lore. You can think of them almost as like, I don't know, like they were just the colonial enforcers, basically. And now they're the federal police and they exist. So they're sort of like the FBI, but also they exist in like small communities, right? Really small communities that don't have their own police force, that can't afford their own police force. So carrying on. So Martell is due in Pictou Provincial Court on March 2nd, and I will hear a little more then. But again, most of you probably know Canada has way more stricter laws about information. I mean, our courts are public, anyone can go, but you are not allowed to televise, broadcast audio or video, or even take photographs or anything like that of court proceedings. So we don't see here the things that we see of what's going on in the States. And we don't even hear information, right? Like, we know that he's being charged with these things against an adult, but that adult's name is redacted. So hi everybody. I'm sorry, I'm not very good yet with the chat and the other screen, so just assume I'm saying hi. Okay, so here we go. Martell, 34, was living with Lilly and Jack Sullivan and their mother at the time of their disappearance from his family home in Lansdowne last May. So they also had the baby in the house. So he and Malaya have a baby together. But he's the stepfather to the other two. So Lily, 6, and Jack, then 4, were reported missing on May 2nd, 2025. When their mother called 911, search and rescue teams spent days combing through the thick woods that surround the rural home in the sparsely populated community of Lansdowne. The extensive grid search turned up little evidence apart from a pink blanket and a child-sized boot print. Since then, the authorities have brought in cadaver dogs, conducted 75 interviews and several polygraph examinations, reviewed over 1,000 tips and 8,000 video files, and have signed RCMP units from multiple provinces to investigate the case. The children's disappearance has fueled widespread speculation and accusations online amid international media attention. Big surprise, right? Like, we have heard nothing. These kids disappeared without a trace. It's infuriating. And because of the way the Canadian legal system is, it's super frustrating because, like, even if they have information, they don't give it to you. So it's just really, it's super upsetting, and it's 9 months later and there's still no sign of them. But I think that I suspect that the arrest of Dan Martell for these unrelated charges is somehow going to produce fruit at some point moving forward. Fingers crossed. So RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon said earlier this month that none of the children's family members were suspects in the disappearance. I wouldn't say anybody's a suspect, said McCammon, the officer in charge of major crime and behavioral sciences. We continue to gather information, whatever evidence that we are able to find, and we'll make our decisions based on that. So that's the other thing. This is being looked at just as a missing person case. There is no criminal investigation. Excuse me, at the moment. Pardon me, I still am hanging on to this fun cold that I had last week. My throat isn't as sore, but I'm still coughing and a bit nasally, you might have noticed. Why did Mom bolt? See, now this is the question, right? I suspect that's Beth. I'm going to try to remember that I can put comments up on the screen here. Why did Mom bolt? So he's been arrested for assault, sexual assault, and forceful confinement on an adult. Now, most people are speculating, obviously, that adult is Malaya, his ex-common law wife, and that possibly she saw this as her opportunity to get away from him. I don't know. For me, it's very sus. Like, I have one child. He's all grown up now. But when he was a kid, 4, 5, 6 years old, the age of these kids, if he disappeared, I cannot imagine leaving the spot from which he disappeared ever until I found him or found what had happened. And the mother, we don't actually know where the mother is. I think she's gone back to her parents, but she's not in contact with anybody. Nobody has heard anything from her. So they're now interviewing her friends, and her friends are saying, oh, she's, she's taking it day by day. So, yeah, we could, maybe, hang on, let me stop sharing this. Hang on, I got to figure out how to do this. I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to share a different screen. And we can listen to the interview of the mom. It's quite short. No, it's sharing the same screen. Is it? No, it's not doing anything. Hang on, sorry. Share screen. Here we go. Here we go. Now it's doing what I want. Malaya Brooks. Marie. Share. Okay, so this one is short. It's just a few minutes.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up and
see, I find all of this a bit suspicious, like just right off the bat. Like, how do you know they were outside playing if you were asleep and you didn't hear them? And then when you got up, they were gone. Like, how that doesn't make sense. How do you know this? And the fact that she's gone off is just bizarre.
I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your
this part she keeps talking about how they'll talk to anyone, and he does a lot of that too. Oh, they would go with anybody, they're so friendly, and then she talks about trying to get the Amber Alert going and everything, which is literally only for kids that are definitely abducted. And I think that they are trying to sell the narrative. That's my feeling from it.
ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone.
I mean, look at that little face. Hey, God, it's so hard for me to imagine the kind of mindset you have to be in to harm a child.
They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now, but we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware, someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain.
So people were alerted pretty quickly. And the Amber Alert system is literally, it's very, very specific. It's for small children or adults who are, suffering with dementia or things like that, right? That may be, that are, potentially a danger to themselves. And it has to be a confirmed abduction. So there is no way in this situation that the Amber Alert system would have been used. I can understand the frustration that there isn't a different kind of alert system for this type of situation where they don't know. But again, I get the feeling that they are trying to set up a narrative that these kids were abducted. And I mean, we all know stranger abductions are pretty they're pretty rare in these cases. It's very much more likely to be a family member. Of cases or something like that in Canada between the 70s and the millennium.
It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm.
I mean, she did mention hoping that they're okay and being aware that they might be cold or wet or whatever. But yeah, it seems like to me, like I can't even imagine being able to have a conversation and not being absolutely just beside myself with like desperate pleas to people to like think of them, right? Think of them. They must be cold. They must be tired. I can't imagine it. Like just the insane anxiety that you would feel. And I don't get that from her. I mean, I get the feeling that something is definitely wrong, but not this.
We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids.
Yeah, these poor kids. I feel like they probably lived, a life of neglect, and that may have contributed to them not keeping up with kids. There's definitely, I can't remember, but I know that I have heard that there was meth use with these two parents, and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it so often leads to neglect. And if kids are not sleeping right, if they're not eating right, if they're afraid often, if they're getting yelled at, that kind of stuff hijacks their ability to do well in school. And parents, I'm not saying that that's what's going on here. I'm just saying, the kids that are in those kind of situations, they're in survival mode, right? And then they will be labeled as being autistic or having, learning disabilities or whatever, when really it's that their whole system has been hijacked by the state of trauma that they live in. It's incredible.
I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds.
Yeah, because it's all about her, right? So I'm so sad for her because I didn't have them in their beds. Like, not because they were, God knows what they're going through.
And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Yeah. Right? She doesn't want to go through another night without them. So, yeah, I feel like that is kind of telling. Yeah, a lot of it, Little Whiskers. Let me put you up here. Yeah, lots of stuff is being said about what was going on in the house. And it's so rural, like literally your neighbors can't hear you scream, right? So if something terrible happened, who would even know it, right? So yeah, sorry, I'm still getting used to this. I'm going to actually share the interview. So he was arrested on January 29th. And then this interview that we're going to look at was on January 6th. So this is prior to the arrest for assault and sexual assault and forcible confinement of an adult. Let me look. It's called Stepfather of Missing Children. Is that the one? Nope. That's the one. Okay. Okay. So it's about 20 minutes long, and I thought we'd just go through it and see what he has to say for himself. I suspect a lot of it's going to be about him and not about the children. Actually, before we start, I just want to say about him, like, he's a weird character. I get extremely ick vibes off of him. And he has made himself available to the news, to the police, to anybody and everybody who wants to speak to him. And I suspect that that's an effort to appear innocent and act like he's got nothing to hide. Now, he has done a polygraph and he has passed it. The mom has done a polygraph and passed it. His mom, Dan Martell's mom, has done polygraph. Malaya's parents have done polygraphs. Many, many people have done polygraphs and passed. But of course, like, if I don't know. I don't know. I just feel I have very weird feelings about this dude. And I suspect a lot of people do. Obviously, I can't know anything more than what anybody else does, but he gives me the super creeps.
Okay, Daniel. So what's the latest with this case?
I think we're going to have to dive into some questions so I can, really.
Oh, hang on. Oh, where am I?
So when you say interviews, that would be recorded on the record. Okay, Daniel. So what's the latest with this case?
I think we're going to have to dive into some questions so I can, really try to answer that because, there's so much. But what I can say is my blood was taken or drawn. And
right? Immediately he starts talking about himself and about how he, all the things that absolve him.
And, they got a few drops in my blood for that, check my DNA, because my DNA is obviously going to be on the blanket. But I can't really disclose, and I'm pretty limited on what I know about the blanket at this moment. But I can say, with the DNA collection, it's something's definitely proceeding forward with that.
How did that go when they took your sample? Did they take you into the station?
Yeah, it was done at the station. An investigator did it. They have an applicator, which, they hit the end of your finger with it, just like you were testing for your blood sugar. Just, pinch the end of your finger, and I had to squeeze for 20 minutes to get some blood out. But
oh, that's so hard for you. Poor you, Dan. Very sad.
After we get those 4 drops out, it goes onto a little pad, and it's put in a envelope and then plastic bag and then sealed up for evidence.
Do you know of anyone else who had their sample taken?
No. I was never disclosed any of that.
Yeah, so he tries to make himself really important in the case. Every interview I've seen of him is him talking about himself a lot, and most of the time talking about how everything that they're doing is absolving him.
Nor do I ask, because I know I would not get an answer in return.
Right.
And just take a look at his posture there with his hands crossed across his groin like that. Again, I don't have any special training, but I have watched a handful, I'm sure y'all have too, of body language expert videos, the behavior panel, those type of guys, deception detective, that kind of stuff. And he's like, protecting your groin is really a defense posture. And so, yeah, that's another thing. Like I'm just sort of making ticks in my box, right? He's meth. He's a stepfather. He's constantly talking about all the things that absolve him. He's constantly putting in. He just gives me the super creeps. Now he's been arrested for sexual assault and forceful confinement. Like, it's adding up, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that he did it, but it certainly means that he should be a suspect. And I am sure that they are watching him very carefully.
You've been asking questions.
Yeah, I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes they can't answer.
And was that voluntary, or did they?
That was 100% voluntary. They never have to get a warrant to do anything. I'm always cooperative. Just like in the past, I keep asking them, do you want my phone? Do you want me to do more polygraphs? Like, I'm open to everything. And
see, it's all about him. Has he even mentioned the kids yet?
And I always tell them that. They say, Daniel, no, we don't need your phone. Daniel, no, it's not necessary to do any more polygraphs. So.
Oh my God, is that what they say? Daniel, it's okay. Daniel, we don't need your phone. Daniel. That sounds like a narrative to me, right? That sounds like something that he has plotted to say.
At this point, I'm very cooperative, And when they did up the paper for consent on my DNA, they fill in the paper, May 2nd, missing persons case for Jack and Lilly. And then they go through it, and then there's the box checked for criminal involvement, no criminal involvement, and they check the box for no criminal involvement.
Right? It's literally all about him. It's literally all about, see, I'm not a suspect. See, I'm not a suspect. He has not even mentioned those children yet. Not even once. He's mentioned himself not being a suspect. And you see how his eyes are closed while he's saying no criminal involvement?
And I put my signature on it, and there was my consent.
How did you feel when you saw that box was checked?
Very happy. But I've known for, since the start that I'm 100% innocent. But to see investigators say that to me before.
Well, that sounds like a scam. Nobody's 100% innocent. I mean, you can be 100% innocent of the crime, but still, I don't know. I don't know. It just jumps out at me as, again, this entire narrative so far is 3 minutes in. It's all about him so far.
But then also, see it visually with my own eyes. It was a big thing.
So it's your understanding you believe that RCMP do not consider you a suspect?
I'd say 100% I'm not considered as a suspect at this point.
Yeah, I think that everything that he has done has been about trying to figure out whether or not he's a suspect. And yeah, that Veriscope. Wait, I keep hitting the wrong ones. Yeah, there it is. Is that right? Veriscope. The guy with the British accent. So yeah, like that. It's literally like a, it's a science, right? They have literally like fed all this stuff into computers and gone like, when they have people that are definitely guilty and people that are definitely not guilty, and they punch all their words into the computer, and they have managed to basically come out with this statement analysis stuff where they can tell based on the types of words that people use whether or not they are being truthful. And I find it fascinating. And if it turns out to be as reliable as its proponents claim it is, it could be a major breakthrough in terms of solving crimes. I think it's fascinating.
Why is that?
I mean, from that box being checked, but we can also go back to when I had my polygraph exam. When we went over the questions beforehand, all the questions were on death, right? So they concluded that by the end of it, I was truthful with all my answers. So I didn't have anything to do with the murder of Lily and Jack.
What? I think that's what they call, I think that's what they call leakage, isn't it? He just used the definite article, the murder of Lily and Jack. Right? I'm not crazy, right? Good thinking, gem in the mud. Oh, is that like, I guess I just got that. I always kind of saw that as Gemini. Gem in the mud. I wonder if that's a play on the hidden gems. Anyway, I like it. And good for you, keeping the electronics out of the bedroom. Good thinking. Lost track of what I was saying, so we'll just go on with this dude here.
And there was no questions on the disappearance or abduction or kidnapping or anything of that nature. So that leaves me with, I didn't murder the kids. I have nothing to do with the disappearance because they did not ask any questions on that.
They didn't ask any questions about the disappearance, and so he had nothing to do with it. I don't know if that makes logical sense, personally. And again, still, how far are we in now? We're almost 4 minutes in. Still, it's all about him and how innocent he is. So gross.
And so you mentioned that in the polygraph, they didn't ask you about the disappearance and whether you had anything to do with it. But I'm going to ask, did you have anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lilly?
No.
Did you kill them?
No.
What do you think happened to them?
At this point,
actually, you know what? On his side, I have to say, that was a very straightforward denial. No. So, just saying, doesn't necessarily mean
I'm
anything.
completely just not sure. I mean, I've thrown speculation out in the past and, narratives that I think, or theories that, what I think may have happened. But at this point, I have to just go with what the RCMP say because they have so much information, they have more resources, and they're the ones that are fully invested in this case. They have the.
Well, that's weird. Shouldn't he be fully invested in this case? That's kind of a weird thing to say. Yeah, I don't know about this dude. I find him super creepy. I can't say that he. Oh, I better go like this video. I can't say that. Obviously, I would just be speculating, but he reminds me a little bit of what's his name? That's Stephen. Is it Stephen Avery? The guy, the true crime loser, is like, why, Steven? Why? That guy who murdered his housemate, or they lived in the same apartment building and went to law school together. And he was out there in front of the cameras talking to everybody, just, yeah, we don't know what happened. She just disappeared. I can't imagine why anybody would do such a thing. And then, of course, it turned out that it was him all along. And we got to watch him lose his mind on camera when the person interviewing him informed him, because he didn't know yet, that they had found her body and he thought he was in the clear. Stephen Avery, right? Is that who I'm thinking? Stephen Avery? Sorry, Stephen.
Intellect and professional training to do what they do. It's been 8 months, and I know a lot of people think that, the kids are not alive anymore, but I hold out hope 100%. I'll always hold out hope every.
That's 3 times he's said 100%. And I just feel like it just keeps jumping out at me. It just keeps jumping out at me, that certainty in a case like this. It's weird. It's a weird way to talk about it.
Every day. Because there's no reason not to.
Do you think it's criminal?
Yes. But it will not pivot to a criminal case or a criminal investigation from a missing persons until they have a suspect and they're going to be investigated and then, formally charged.
Do you get any sense from RCMP that they believe this is criminal?
Yes, but they don't openly share that or talk about that concept with me.
I feel like the correct answer there would be no. I don't know, or whatever. Like, not that they take it, that he doesn't know the answer, because there's no way he knows the answer. Obviously, they don't share that with him. But even opining about what the RCMP are thinking or whatever, to me is like, through all of this, he's trying to make himself important, like that these interviews are helping in some way with the case, when in fact, the only thing that they're helping, if they're, I don't think they're helping him, but I think that he thinks that they are.
That's pretty limited. They use use the least amount of words they can to convey what they're trying to get across, or questions, or it's usually me who tries to dive in depth with them, but they're pretty tight-lipped on everything, and they should be.
How many times have they officially interviewed you?
Formally interviewed. The very first one was about 4 hours, and since then.
That was a weird little correction, eh? Formally interviewed. I get like it's to me it's like a self-important thing, right? That he's correcting her for some reason. I think it's an attempt to make himself sound, like he understands the process, that he's a part of it, that he that he gets the whole thing, that he's very au fait with it because, he just wants the kids found. But I don't know if you've noticed, but how far are we into it now? 6 minutes. Hasn't mentioned the kids yet.
I'd say about maybe 5 times. I don't know the count exactly, but probably around 5 times.
And when was the latest one?
The latest one would have been...
Seems like he's got dry mouth. I think there you go, Beth Scott. That's exactly what I was just thinking. He seems very anxious. Oh yeah, you're saying he uses I suspect you're right? He probably feels better. He feels like while he's being interviewed or he's in the interview, he feels like he's able to control the narrative a bit. I think that's very astute, Beth. I think you're absolutely right.
That would have been on the blanket. So, and the actual formal interview for that wasn't very long. That was probably about 20 minutes. But the amount of time I spend with them is a lot because we go over a lot. It's just me asking questions and how can I help them, and so it's usually like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I only plan on being there for 20 minutes or whatever they have to do with me, but it's just like we just keep talking.
And so when you say interviews, that would be recorded on the record interrogations.
Yes. Yeah, that's audio recordings.
There have been allegations from...
So again, there he's like, oh, the formal interview is 20 minutes, but I spent like 2 hours with them because they're so interested in, talking with him off the record about stuff because they're in it together. You know what I mean? They're working the case together. I think that's the impression that he's trying to give.
From Malaya's friends and family that you were abusive to her. Were you?
No.
They said that when she moved in with you, she cut off all contact with them and you monitored her phone.
She also monitored mine. We both had the same passwords on her phone. And her friends, she blocked her friends on my phone and she blocked them on her own phone.
So how would you describe...
Okay, so that was just a little bit of whataboutism without answering the actual question or taking accountability for it, right? So just a note, didn't answer the question.
Your relationship before the children went missing.
Yes. I don't really want to talk on that because I don't really want to talk on too much to do with Malaya. It's best that we don't.
Okay. And so you mentioned that there were some accusations.
Interesting. Yeah. I missed that, boss lady. He sure was right there, nodded his head when he said no about abusing Malaya. I missed that. I didn't notice the head nod, but good catch.
Accusations about your past drug use.
Mm-hmm.
I've read some things about it being drug use that week, the week the children went missing. Is there any truth to that?
No, I didn't have any drugs. And Major Crimes knows that, or they would have, charged me with possession of drugs or drug paraphernalia.
Okay, so they wouldn't necessarily. And all these claims on Major Crimes knows that. Again, it's more of that kind of like he's trying to act like he's in the know about what would happen, about what the process would be or whatever. Yeah, he's just there's something wrong with this guy. There's something wrong about him. And it's all just so creepy. God, sorry, I feel like I should have something deeper to say than that, but jeez.
There was nothing at the house. So,
there was no drugs at the house because they usually save the drugs and keep them lying around. They don't just do all the drugs. They keep them lying around.
They know that.
What is your history in terms of the drug use? What would you like to share, just to clear the air?
I did not have any drugs. People thought I was doing drugs during the search. Absolutely not.
Closed his eyes when he said absolutely not, and he also did the non-contracted denial. I did not have any drugs. Again, it's not proof, but just noticing.
I don't owe any drug dealers money. I don't owe anyone drugs. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't manufacture drugs. Can't really speak on.
So that's it. Like we all kind of know, right, that he has been using drugs. And everything he said there was, I don't have drugs, I don't do drugs, I don't sell drugs, I don't make drugs, I don't no, there's no drugs in me. No, you got the wrong end of the stick. When he would be better to admit the truth in my mind, because it just makes him look like a liar and it makes him look more suspicious. It's that thing of having an answer for everything starts to become really suspicious. Like, I'm sure you've all seen the Robert Tellis trial and the cross examination, where he has an answer for everything, and it's so exhausting that you can't help but think he's guilty, just because it doesn't make sense.
On anything more than that, I
Those
guess.
have been all the accusations
Yeah.
made at you.
That I have, manufacture drugs, sell them. I give them to people to sell. It's
There was
crazy.
no drug party that night.
No, there was no drug party. There was no leaving during the middle of the night. When we pulled into the yard on Thursday afternoon, it would have been about 3:50 or just right before 4 o'clock. The vehicle did not move till the next morning, until I got in it and went searching for Lily and Jack that morning.
Oh, he just mentioned Lily and Jack. Well done. 9 minutes and 14 seconds into it, he's finally mentioned the children. Yeah, I don't believe him. I just don't believe him, and I think he does himself a disservice by flat out denying all of it, when it's pretty obvious to anybody that he has been involved in drugs in some way or another in his life, and he was in the lead up to the disappearance of those kids. I just don't believe otherwise. Obviously, I don't know, and I wasn't there, and it's all alleged, and these are just my opinions, but I don't believe him.
When Malay was on dispatch, or contacted dispatch.
How have all of these allegations impacted you?
At the start, it didn't bother me because they're obviously all not true. Basically anyone can just go on there and say whatever they want without any recourse at all.
Again, to say it didn't bother him, I just think that's a lie. Like, who would not be bothered by that? I mean, even if you know it's not true, even if it's not true, it's not true, you would be bothered by it because, like, then that means that people are looking at you when they should be looking somewhere else, right? Like, he's reminding me a little bit of Lauren in that way, of like just being like, it's perfect. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Everything I do has a reason, and everything I do has a justification, and everything I say is, it's fine. If you don't like me, I don't mind. It's okay. You don't have to like me. I don't care what people think about me. Like, of course you do. We all do. I mean, it's part of being human. You need the approbation of the community. It's part of surviving, right? We're hardwired to care what people think about us. And if the entire country thinks that you killed your stepchildren, you're going to tell me that doesn't matter to you, that you don't care? I cannot believe that.
And
deep breath. Take a deep breath down. Try to calm down.
over time, it started to get to me because it's just constant, right? I tried to keep up on it all and tried to, tell everyone the truth and correct everyone, but it was just too much. When those groups start to get so large and there's thousands and thousands of comments and thousands of questions every day, it's too much. Then you have YouTube creators, they just go on and, they basically become delusional. They have their...
Okay, yeah, so we're all delusional over here. So, I mean, that's a pretty broad statement. You would think that he would recognize that when small children go missing, that very often it turns out that the perpetrator is a member of their own family, and that You know, people are going to be looking at all of this and going, well, what else could possibly have happened here? Right? Like, the fact that he's not even willing to acknowledge that, but is instead going to call people delusional, is again another mark against him, to my mind.
Their mob, and they look to destroy, or they're completely obsessed with me and the case.
Yeah, I mean, what have you learned?
I mean, shouldn't we be obsessed with finding your children? Dude, I mean, my God. Like, again, like if I was in this situation and I was innocent and people were blaming me, I would, I would understand that. I would probably try to set the record straight, of course. But on the other hand, I would also be like, I would be just pleading to anyone and everyone to get the word out, to do anything, to tell people, to, if they know anything, to phone people. Like, I would be thrilled that there were thousands of YouTubers on the frickin' case. You know what I mean? Like, even if they were blaming me wrongly, I would still be like, I don't care. The more people are on the case, the more chance I have of my kid getting back. And that's not to say I wouldn't care that people thought it was me, but you know what I'm saying. And again, like it's absent from his conversation here. He's got thousands of people obsessed with the case, and he's like, they're delusional and wrong or whatever, rather than being like, I'm so glad so many people care about Lily and Jack and are, hoping to find the answers and get them back. This is an opportunity for a really good message, and he's blowing it to attack people who are trying to help find his children.
Learned about the true crime community?
That it's absolutely vicious, and I said this word a lot, but obsessive. And it's a lot of those creators in the true crime community, it's like basically, talking to like a barnyard animal, I guess you could say. It's
again, literally, he's got thousands of people on the case, and instead of acknowledging all of the love for those kids, he's calling people barnyard animals and oblivious of the fact that he is dissing the many thousands of people who are interested in finding those kids.
They don't add any value other than just being there.
Do you feel at this point things are getting worse? Or has it eased up at any point?
The community it's becoming more aggressive with their conspiracies and theories due to my lack of engagement online. I've received numerous death threats.
Sorry, what conspiracies? I think, words have meanings, and I haven't seen any conspiracy. I've seen a lot of people wondering what this dude is all about. And I mean, for very good reason. We have experience of this, right? It's not our first rodeo, Daniel. And you're not doing yourself any favors by jumping down people's throats who are trying to find your kids.
Threats and major crimes has, notified me on that, and they're working hard to basically get them under control and find out who's doing them.
How are these death threats coming in?
I mean, I get them daily.
Oh my God, poor Daniel. He is a victim. He is the victim in all of this. This is terribly sad. People, you need to be nicer to Daniel.
On my phone, that's a normal thing, but Major Crimes was aware of them. I'm not sure if they came in for tips, call-ins, or some other way, but they didn't want to dive into that. They're pretty limited on what they can tell me about any of it. I mean, basically because, they don't want me to get worried and everything like that, but
they don't want him to get worried, and there's very little they can tell him about the people who are giving him death threats. I don't know anything about what would happen in that situation, honestly, but I feel like that the law enforcement would kind of work with you if you were getting death threats. No, not be tight-lipped about it.
Pretty serious stuff, I guess.
How are you dealing with that?
I'm dealing pretty well with it because nothing really scares me in that aspect. It's been 8 months, and I don't really put much thought into where much, I don't recognize it as, having any impact on my life personally.
Oh God, he's just another one of these exhausting people who is just like, I handle everything perfectly and I never have any, there's nothing ever that I do wrong or think wrong or have any, like, as if not caring about death threats makes you a better person than being upset by death threats.
But I imagine a lot of individuals are probably like scared for me, I guess, because, they care about me. But for me personally, I just see it as like another rock that skips off the water. There still is.
Oh yeah, it's just water off a duck's back. Like he's above all of this. He just is above all of it. He's literally not mentioned the kids again yet. One time I heard their names, and it was in relation to him going out searching for them.
There's, people with big hearts out there and open minds, but they're not on there posting. But I do have loyal supporters, and
yeah, his mouth is totally dry. He's in high anxiety at this point, I would say. And he's got what Tanika from Tanika's 2 Cents. What does she always say? The balls of a burglar. I'm guessing that he likes the attention, even if it's negative, because it makes him feel important. I mean, why else would he be doing all these interviews? Because none of them ever seem to be about the kids, right? They always seem to be about him.
I appreciate every single one of them.
So now that we're coming up, getting to 9 months in this investigation, what's your sense? Where do you think the case stands?
I think the case, it's moving forward, but there is so much information to, really, examine and really go through before you can complete this part of information, then move to the next.
Wow. Great analysis, Daniel.
And I mean, there's so many tips being called in, and then there's tips that are absolutely useless. Like when you see me out in public, don't call in a tip. I mean, that's just total nonsense, because you're slowing down the investigators and you're slowing down the social media team that they have. And, or the guy who checks the tips and he reviews the tips. I mean, you slow him down when you're just putting in tips that say, well, we seen Daniel at a gas station buying a Gatorade, because that has happened.
Right.
Again. Wow. Great analysis, Daniel. He has not once made a plea to the public for information about these missing children. Not once. If it was me, you couldn't frickin' shut me up.
Wow.
I would literally be looking into the camera the whole time going, oh my God. Like anybody, if you have any tips, I don't care. Whatever, if you're like, whatever. He's literally complaining that people are calling in tips. Like I can imagine that they do get a lot of tips that are not relevant, but the fact that everybody knows and is out there trying to do something, I think would be heartening regardless, right?
What would you like to see happen with this case?
I would like to see it closed and Lily and Jack found safely, and someone is charged with criminal offenses.
Okay, just to say, obviously the man's not a genius, but he just said found safely, which would imply that the people that found the children did it in a safe manner. Like, it's very probably not deliberate, and it may or may not be leakage, but he did not say that I hope the children are found safe.
Because that's what you think will be the result here.
Yeah.
You don't think they're in the woods?
No.
Have your own theories shifted at all along the way?
They have, but they always come back to what I originally thought. After I just, go over all the information so many times or lay in bed and go over everything in my mind from the very beginning to where it is now. The theories in my mind change, but I still have to go with what RCMP say because they have the most information on the case. And I know that's their job to bring justice for Lily and Jack and to bring them home safely.
Yeah. So. Stop. Sorry about that. Yeah. Right? So. That's Daniel Martell. So that was on the 6th of January. He was then arrested on the 29th of January for assault, sexual assault, and forcible confinement of an adult. In Canada, they will not name the person that he has been charged in connection with. I am assuming that it's Malaya, but I still am very... I cannot get my head around the mom buggering off from the place where she last saw her kids. If she doesn't know what happened to them or she thinks that they might still be alive or that there's any chance or whatever, I just can't. I can't get there. And sorry, okay, I'm going to try to... Here we go. So I didn't believe a word this dude said equals he is probably mortified. I'm not sure what that means, but I didn't really believe him either. In that 14-minute interview, he literally said their name one time. And that was in relation to something that he did to try to find them. So I mean, we always try to keep hope alive, of course, in these cases, but it is a long time and there are there's nothing been found. Like, I mean, I know that the RCMP doesn't, they keep things to themselves more in Canada than they do in the States, but I am not feeling encouraged. So yes, boss lady, he kept some woman and abused her by the sounds of it, assaulted her. Yeah. Didn't let them leave. I mean, they might be... I mean, this is my guess, right? About why Malia took off was because she finally had the opportunity to get away from him. I mean, it's very hard to know, right? What's going on in a situation like that. They're so isolated out there. From what I have seen of his mother, who lives on the property as well, she doesn't seem super with it. And I feel like she probably is easily snowed by her kid. And what's this one here? Hang on. No whiskers. Last thing I heard about Malaya was she was with family on an Indian reservation in Nova Scotia, but that was months ago. Yeah, I think that's where she is. I think she's with her family. And yeah. I don't know. It's all very frustrating. At least once a week, I Google Lily and Jack Sullivan, and it often goes weeks at a time. Weeks and weeks and weeks go by with nothing, with no updates, without anything. And the guy who's in charge of the case, who is the spokesperson or whatever, it just does not inspire any kind of confidence in me. He says, like, this is not a cold case. It's very active and all ongoing, and we're, seeking a result and all the rest of it. But I just don't get the feeling, right, that anything is happening. And I'm super worried that it's just gonna fade into nothing, right? And those two little beautiful humans, sorry, did not mean to invoke Megan there. Those two beautiful little children are going to be forgotten by the media because time marches on. And these things do happen, but it's just I don't know what else to say. It's been bugging me and everybody else ever since it happened. And I don't think Daniel does himself any favors with all of his multiple interviews. And the final thing I wanted to say about him is that he has, for the guy that is like so up there and ready to be interviewed at the drop of a hat by anyone and everyone, has refused to comment on the charges that he's facing. So I think that tells us a little something. Yeah. So I think that's it for today. It was kind of a nice change of pace to not talk about Lauren for a little minute. I'm thinking about what videos to do next. And I am I'm not really sure know what to do going forward as far as the Matthias HTC thing goes. Partly because I feel like I've said what there is to say. But the other part of me feels like John is still out here doing this terrible analysis and narrative building and storytelling about people that he's never even seen or met or whatever. And it's just so unethical that I feel like I need to respond to it and say something, right, to negate what he's doing. But I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to do next. I'm thinking about that. So if people have ideas, feel free to, pop them in the comments, things that they want to hear about. I am going to HTC. Oh, here, let me put it up. HTC is horrific right now. Lauren was super weird today reporting on the missing Nancy Guthrie. Yeah, maybe it was you, was mentioning that was really really weird. She is looking really weird, right? She looks like a whole new person, doesn't she? Like, she's got I don't know what it all is, all the cosmetic stuff she has, the Botox and fillers and stuff, but her face seems to have gotten really fat all of a sudden. Like, she looks like a different person. Yeah. So, hey, look at you, Beth Scott. You're always so generous. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the support from you guys as I find my way along here. So, yeah, I'm gonna call it because my voice is getting tired and it's been just over an hour now, so I feel like I've done my bit. I am very looking forward to what's going to happen with Daniel Martell. And I am really hoping that we are going to, at the very least, find out what has happened to those beautiful children. The boss lady, you're so funny. Her eyebrows are on the rise again. Yeah, she looks really weird, but she is not any less vapid or empty than she was before. So, okay, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you all one more time for coming. I super appreciate all of you. Please like and share and comment. And I will probably, I'm hoping for Saturday or Sunday to have another video up. I might do a recorded video, but I will let y'all know. Thanks again. Bye. Bye.